Good day, everybody, and welcome back to the Wellsprings Home Care Podcast. Again, I'll be your host today, Justin Curry. I am the owner and also a certified senior care manager here at Wellsprings. Now, Wellsprings is located in Chester County, PA, in the city of Exton, Pennsylvania, and we service the areas of Chester County, Montgomery County, and Delaware County. Wellsprings is proud to announce that it's actually the recipient of one of SeniorAdvisor.com's 2020 Best of Home Care Awards. So what that is essentially they recognize the top 2 to 3% of providers nationwide and present them with this award each year. So we're really excited about that, and we're really grateful to our team, and we really hope that we can move into 2021 and hopefully get presented the award again. So thank you to all of our team and all of our clients. Since everyone is still locked up in quarantine, we're hoping to continue to bring you some of these educational posts to hopefully help out, with any questions you have. And for those of you who aren't as familiar with home care services, basically what home care is Wellsprings will send out someone from their team, one of their caregivers who could be a certified nursing assistant or a home health aide, and they'll actually send them out to help in the client's home or in a facility setting. So it's really dependent on the client's needs. We do everything from 4-hour care right up until 24-hour care. We have aides that actually live in with the clients. So there's a lot of different customizable options. And some of the different things that we help with, some of the different services that we provide when we do go in are things like personal hygiene. So we're helping out with things like oral hygiene, like brushing your teeth, bathing, sponge baths, bed baths, toilet and incontinence care, hair brushing and maintenance, shaving, things along those lines. Another service that's offered is personal care. So personal care is essentially when an individual is having trouble with the activities of daily living, we call it. So that's essentially things that you're doing on a daily basis, standing, walking, dressing, light housekeeping, just simple conversation and companionship, and a lot of meal preparation as well, helping out with the diet. And some of the other services that we can offer are simple things like companionship, transportation, mobility assistance, and we also have specialized programs in dementia and Alzheimer's care. So essentially what each one of our caregivers is trained to a specialty with dementia. So all of our caregivers are able to recognize the signs and sort of help slow the progression of the disease. So let's jump back to today's topic, problems facing elderly in the U.S. So I want to start off by introducing some of the statistics that come from actually the National Council on Aging. That's the NCOA. And first off, they talk a little bit about chronic disease. So the statistic there is approximately 80% of older adults have at least one chronic disease, and 77% have at least two. And there's 4 chronic diseases that actually cause almost 2/3 of all deaths each year with seniors, and that is heart disease, stroke, cancer, and diabetes. And there are definitely a lot more contributing factors, but that's more so the overview statistic when it comes to chronic diseases. So the next item would be falls. Now, every 11 seconds, an older adult is treated in the emergency room for a fall. Every 19 minutes, an older adult dies from a fall. So as you can see, obviously falls become a very critical issue when your parents or your loved ones do age. A lot of people don't recognize that, the importance of fall prevention and fall safety. And now the nation actually spends $50 billion a year treating older adults because of the result of falling. Now that's a pretty substantial amount. So obviously that's something we really zero in on with Wellsprings when we're putting together our care plans. Fall prevention is generally listed as, one of the top 3 items that our caregivers are looking out for. Now, the third major issues are mental health and substance abuse. So this is actually saying, the NCOA is actually saying that 1 in 4 older adults experiences some sort of mental disorder. And, that can include anything like anxiety disorders, dementia, memory loss, depression. And that number is actually expected to increase to 15 million by 2030. So obviously, with the baby boomer population increasing every year, that's going to become more and more of a problem. So those are just some quick overview statistics on, some of the problems that seniors are facing. Gives us a little bit of insight into obviously the different numbers and what sort of percentage effect it has on the population. So now to jump into the actual problems facing the elderly in the US, we've went over the statistics. So the number one problem is going to be costs and financial security. So a lot of seniors, they didn't plan ahead. The baby boomer population was a little bit different than it is now. Traditionally, a lot of people didn't have those big savings account. They weren't looking towards retirement. People are living a lot longer nowadays, so they don't have the income to be able to, sustain throughout the time while they're aging. So contributing factors can be low savings, a lot of debt, and obviously the increasing cost of healthcare. That's never going to stop going up. So we do actually have an ebook. It's called Funding In-Home Care. So if you want to email us anytime, we can definitely, or give us a call, we can definitely send that out. And that actually runs through all the different funding options for seniors. It's everything from Medicaid, Medicare, Veterans Affairs, reverse mortgages. It just has, there's a lot of information there on, some of the sources of funding in pending that a client cannot, afford to private pay. So another problem facing elderly is obviously disease. We had touched base a little bit on chronic disease in our statistics. So that's something we can't really prevent completely, but we can reduce the chances by doing things like regular doctor's visits and checkups, having a well-balanced diet, and then also exercising on a daily or a weekly basis, whatever. It's different for each person. And the number 3 problem is physical deterioration. Unfortunately, we can't get away from that as we age. I think we're all aware of that. You have certain things like the loss of physical abilities, struggling with ambulation around the home, and just any other physical activities. You maybe used to play sports or go out walking or, hiking, biking, things like that you're not able to do anymore. So that really contributes to deterioration when we stop doing those things. So some of the signs could be, a loss of walking speed, trouble going upstairs, things like that you used to be able to do on a daily basis that just become more difficult as time goes on. So what a caregiver can come in and do is they can help out with ambulation, with doing those exercises, with helping out with the diet. There's also assistive equipment that you can have to come in the house, depending on the necessity, but there's things like stair lifts, there's Hoyer lifts, there's all sorts of bathroom equipment, there's shower chairs, there's commodes that can go on the toilet. There's a lot of different assistive equipment out there that can help out given different situations. And number 4 would be mental health. We talked about that a little bit as well. The most common being dementia, Alzheimer's, bipolar, anxiety, depression. And number 5 would be loneliness. So, especially during this time of everybody being in quarantine, that's limiting family members and friends going out to visit some of the seniors in the area. So, some people that were already sort of on that on the balance of being lonely or having a social life, they're sort of catapulted into that loneliness phase, being isolated. So we're doing a lot of things to help out with that. We're even doing it kind of falls under the banner of telehealth, but we're doing phone calls and video calls depending on the senior and their access to different technology, and we're doing companionship just over phone and by video. So that's been very helpful to some of our clients. And there's a lot of social groups as well. When we're not on quarantine, when everything goes back to normal, there's a lot of social groups like the Downingtown Area Senior Center, the Westchester Senior Center. This is all a really great place for seniors to socialize and different activities. And also they serve meals there. It's just a really great social just sort of a social group or gathering for any senior, and anybody can join. And the number 6 reason would be financial predators. So I think we're all aware of what this is. You get a phone call and it turns out to be a scam. They're looking for your credit card information. And unfortunately, with seniors, they tend to be the more susceptible population to this. So that's what scammers target. So there's different things like your phone scams, lottery scams, insurance scams. They'll even call pretending to be a family member, trying to ask for money, anything along those lines. So different things you can do to help out with that is just sort of keep your information overall just safe and secure. Have strong passwords on anything that you have financially. Don't give out your credit card information. Don't give out any social security information. And another option would be to have someone manage your finances. If maybe the senior isn't quite as sharp with the bookkeeping and the bill paying as they used to be, there's some great options out there for managing those finances for them. And the number 7 thing would be abuse and neglect. So different signs of abuse could be, if a family member comes in, a different sign of abuse could be physical. It could be, like a bruise or a burn or anything along those lines. But abuse can also be emotional. So it can actually lead to things like depression and just unusual behavior. You might come in the home and notice that somebody's acting a little bit differently. They've acted the same way for the last decade, and all of a sudden, in the last few weeks, they've been just acting a little bit off, a little bit strange. That's a good indicator that there is something bothering them. So in those cases, it's recommended to contact Adult Protective Services. So essentially what you would do is you would just go online, do a search for that. There's different agencies in different areas. I know Chester County, the area of aging, you can get in touch with, and they'll help out with that. You can send a report into them, and they'll kind of take care of it from there. And the number 8 would be transportation. So obviously, as you get a little bit older, some people tend, they'll either lose their driver's license or they don't feel comfortable driving anymore. So that obviously really, really limits, their mobility and where they can go and where they can visit, and even daily tasks like getting to appointments, picking up groceries, anything like that becomes a lot more difficult. And obviously, it's expensive too. If someone was taking Ubers all the time or a taxi, it can become very costly for them. So some of the other options would be, some of our caregivers will actually transport clients, so they can come in their car and transport the client. It's at a fairly small cost because the caregiver is there as well and can help out with mobility and things like that. And one of the other services for transportation is Rover, which is a very, very cost-effective service, which is a great option to have. But sometimes it can be a little bit lengthy because you have to, it's like a bus. You stop and pick up other people. Sometimes you're the last one to get off. Sometimes you're the first one. So it can be a pretty lengthy time if you're not prepared for it. But it is a great option to have. And the last problem would be social climate. So by that, I mean technology. So obviously with things changing, everything's done online, including a lot of health things now. There's telehealth. just communication, everything. You sign into your account with your doctor, and all your billing and everything is online, your test results. So that can be a little bit overwhelming for a senior, especially somebody who didn't grow up in that sort of time frame. So some of the things that can really help out seniors, obviously depending on their access to technology, but the number one would be YouTube videos. There is now a YouTube video out there for everything. I before I started podcasting, I looked at YouTube videos on how to podcast. I mean, you can find anything on there, and it'll show you a quick, usually a couple minute video on how to do things. So if you wanted to learn, how to check your email, or how to jump onto Facebook and check out what your family and friends are doing, there is always a YouTube video to go along with that and provide some instruction. And another thing you can do is ask friends or family members for help. So, if you have somebody, maybe a family member that comes over once a week or a couple times a week, they can definitely, especially if they're a younger family member, they can usually always provide a little bit of guidance and a little bit of instruction on using the different technology devices. So in summary, those are some of the different problems and the statistics, facing elderly in the U.S. And I hope that was very informative to some. If anybody wants to dig in and learn a little bit more, they can give us a call anytime at Wellsprings Home Care. Our office is 610-463-0880. And our main email line is info, that's just INFO, at wellspringshomecare.com. So that's all I have today. So thanks a lot for stopping by, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks.